the Republican majority has essentially been missing in action when it comes to being a co-equal branch of government. But that ended with the midterms. We're going to do our jobs. The president needs to do his. And our job involves making sure that the policy of the United States is being driven by the national interest, not by any financial entanglement, financial leverage, or other form of compromise. So we're going to do our work, and that work began in earnest today. Our first committee action was to authorize the transmission of all of the transcripts to the special counsel from the conduct of the Russia investigation thus far. That includes transcripts that the special counsel and the Justice Department have not yet had access to, and a great many that they have, but have not been allowed to use for particular purposes, including in prosecutions for false statement or obstruction or perjury or any other like offense. So the special counsel's office, the Department of Justice, and its elements will now have access to those transcripts for any purpose which will facilitate justice. We will also be announcing the parameters of our investigation, which go beyond Russia, but in some will allow us to investigate any credible allegation that financial interests or other interests are driving the decision-making of the president or anyone in the administration. The American people have a right to know, indeed have a need to know, that their president is acting on their behalf and not for some pecuniary or other reason. That pertains to any credible allegations of leverage by the Russians or the Saudis or anyone else. And so we will be conducting our investigation to make sure that the country is protected. We will be doing so in concert with other committees that share a like interest and concern. And as we made clear to the minority today, we will be seeking to work in concert with them. We will invite their feedback on issues of concern to them. We will invite them to suggest witnesses to us, not just on our investigative matters, but on our oversight matters. And we intend to operate in good faith, and we would ask the same in return. But we are determined to make sure that we fulfill what we had committed 2 years ago, and that is that we will follow the facts wherever they lead. And I'm happy to respond to your questions.
Well, do you think Robert Mueller wants these transcripts? Because he only requested one from Roger Stone, and he's been able to read all of them through ODNI. What makes you think that he needs these for any other prosecution?
First of all, he hasn't, the special counsel, neither the special counsel nor the Justice Department has had access to all the transcripts. There were some that were not included for whatever reason the then majority had, that they did not provide, and others that were witnesses that we interviewed after the Republican members decided that they were no longer going to participate in the investigation. But we want to make sure the special counsel has full access. In terms of any transcripts the special counsel may or may not have requested, I can't comment on that. We don't comment on requests or our interactions with the special counsel.
Mr. Schiff, this morning in your statement about Michael Cohen's testimony, you said in the interest of the investigation, you're delaying this testimony. What did you mean by in the interest of the investigation? Was that direction from the special counsel to not have this tomorrow?
I can't comment any further than our statement on that, but we look forward to his testimony on February 28th, and Mr. Cohen has been fully cooperative with us, and we hope and expect that will continue. But we felt it was in the investigation's interest that we postponed to that date.
Mr. Chairman, the Republicans asked for
immediately transferred over to the special counsel?
They should be conveyed over to the special counsel today.
Mr. Chairman, the Republicans asked that the majority now subpoena a list of 12 witnesses that they have interest in hearing from, among them Mr. Comey and several Russian nationals, we were told. We were also told that you declined to issue that subpoena. Why?
Well, first of all, and this is a request that we made of the minority, if they're to work with us in good faith, then we would suggest to them that they advise us of people they would like to bring in, that they would like to hear testimony, and not inform us of it at the hearing or at the meeting in the form of motion we've never seen. But more than that, we also informed the minority that we would adhere to the practice we had in the last session, which is we will always seek voluntary testimony before we use compulsion. So a motion that we heard from the minority today, that we compel people to come in without even seeing whether any of them are willing to come in, was not something that we could entertain. We also, with respect to some of the witnesses that they had proposed, we're not even sure why they think their testimony would be relevant. Now, it had been the practice in the last couple years that a lot of activity on the then majority side we felt was simply an effort to distract or to try to tear down the Justice Department or Special Counsel or Bureau. And obviously, if there's any motivation along those lines, it's not something we're going to entertain.
Last question.
On the public transcripts, do you plan on releasing those fast once you receive them? How do you plan to let the public see those transcripts when you release them? In batches?
We have been in touch with the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, who is doing the declassification review. That process involves consultation with investigative equities to make sure that in addition to not disclosing anything classified, we're not disclosing things that would compromise any element of their work. We have been given an estimate that they should have the transcripts to us by May or June. We are going to seek to advance that timetable by identifying certain transcripts that we would like to have them processed more quickly. There's no need to wait until they're all finished before we release any of them. So we will identify those that we wish to put on a fast track, and they're amenable to doing that. We also want to make sure that these transcripts are scrubbed of any personal information, and it has come to our attention by virtue of the review that the intelligence community is doing, that even in some of the unclassified transcripts there is a discussion of matters that should not have been discussed in open session or in executive session or revealed without redaction. So we will work with them to expedite the timetable. It is also our intention, in order to do that, that we not wait for them all to be done to be able to release any of them. Thank you.
Will the special counsel receive these transcripts today? Is that the timeline?
As far as I understand it, it's simply a logistical matter of providing the discs to the special counsel, and I fully expect that that will happen today. Thank you.
When will we get the